Maseches Bava Metzia Daf Zayin Amud Aleph. In um we are in the daf, the line that starts with the words Ademas Behemnusei. There are two Behemnusei. There are two lines. Both of them start with the word Behemnusei, and we are in the first one, the first one of the two. The Ad Emas Nichale Deleikum Behemnusei. That's where we're holding. Yeah, which means the story is as follows. We're going to recap the story again. Design Amud Aleph. Yeah. 1682. 1682. In nice yeshivish way. Okay, so the story is as follows. Mr. Shimon, which is not really such a swindler, he's sort of a swindler. He sold someone an apartment. It's not his or land or flat or whatever. But eventually, yeah, after the sale, we say that if he bought the apartment and it seems like Dafka wants this apartment, Dafka that property that he sold unfairly in an unjust way, now he actually bought it, then we say to him, Mister, the apartment is not yours. The apartment belongs to Levi the Lakuach. Why? Because we assume that the reason why you Dafka bought this apartment, you ran after this apartment, shows that you're interested in being clean and good in the eyes of the Lokeach. And the halacha, we say, like the second shita, you want to be good in the eyes of the entire world. You don't want to lose your good name. That's how we assume. That's how we assess your psychological move over here. Frag the Gemara ve'ad emas. There are many questions you asked last week, which were very good questions, and some of them the Gemara will ask. Some of them I'll relate to later. For now, let's continue. Ve'ad emas, till when? Until when? Nichale deleikum beimnuse. Up to what point in the story we say that he wants to be considered as an honest person, which means I can understand, and I'll give you the akdama. Let's say the story is as follows. A guy knows that his neighbor went to New Zealand to become a rabbi. I know such a person who now wants to move to New Zealand to become a rabbi. Okay, good luck. So now he says, great. So now the apartment, I'll barge in, I'll change the lock, I'll change the number, and I'll be the new owner of the apartment. He went to New Zealand for 5 years. Very nice. And then what would the person do? Sell it on to somebody else. Yeah, million shekel. Very nice. All of a sudden, the job in New Zealand didn't work out. Oy, oy, oy. The guy's coming back. Ooh, I'm going to lose my good name when Mr. Reuven, who's now rabbi in New Zealand, but it didn't work out. Instead of being there for 5 years, he was there for 5 days. He's quickly coming back. I get a WhatsApp message. Oh, he's coming back. What do we do? So then, what would I do? Quickly buy it in order to have a good name. I'll buy it quickly, it will be mine. They will somehow legalize everything. Levi, in order that Levi should keep the apartment, and then Reuven cannot scream at me because I quickly bought it from Reuven before he manages to do anything bad, right? That makes sense. The question is, what happens if I do that purchase in a later stage? Yeah, let's see what the Gemara has to say. Let's say already Reuven came and started screaming at Levi, get out of my house. And Levi says, no, Shimon sold it to me, and I'm Shimon. Oy, oy, oy. What would be then? The bubble blew already. Everybody knows already I'm a swindler. Do we still say that at that point I'm considered the purchase of the apartment is interpreted as me trying to settle things down and legalize it and keep it in the hands of Levi? Or do we say it's too late because I lost my good name already? That's a question. Look what the Gemara has to say. 3 opinions. Amar Avune, Ad Sh'as Hamodu Bedin, until the person actually goes to Beis Din to court, which means as long as Reuven is shouting at Levi, and although Levi thinks I'm a swindler, and so does Reuven, yeah, if I buy it quickly from Reuven and put it in the hands of Levi, we still interpret it as the Shimon, the swindler, as being trying to be more or less honest, to try and quickly clean up the mess before actually Shimon is standing in court with Reuven shouting at him, and Levi, by the way, also. Yeah, as long as there's no official court case, we still interpret the purchase of the house as Shimon trying to be good to Levi, settle things down and quiet things down, and still clean up the mess, even though it's spilled all over the table, spilled the beans. Because there wasn't yet Amadu Bedin. They didn't officialize the Tviyah. They didn't yet make the claim official, so he can still keep his good name. And therefore, who's going to keep the apartment? Levi. And we say Shimon bought the apartment for Levi, not for himself. I just want to sharpen something because I'm not sure everybody here in the room understands. We have a second court case over here. Shimon versus Levi. What's the court case about? Shimon says, I bought the apartment now and it's for me. Get out of here, you Levi. Out, out, out. Don't call me a swindler. It's not mine. I have a real shtar. It's really his. Levi says, no, you only bought it in order to keep it in my hands. You bought it to keep your good name. Now you changed your mind, you swindler. But really, when you buy it, Chazal assume, and that's what Rav said, and that's the right thing to say, you bought it not for yourself, so you get out of the apartment. Levi, me, Levi, I'm the real apartment owner. Because really, you, Shimon, you bought it in order to sustain it by me, to keep it by me, to retain it by me. I'm the owner, says Levi. That's really the discussion. So that's the seesaw over here. Up until the point of Amud Bedin, of standing in court, or being actually sued to court, taken to court, up until that, we say Shimon's actions are interpreted as him wanting to quiet the storm and say, yeah, it should be by Levi, and therefore Levi should stay in the apartment. If he did it after that, we say no. If he did it after that, then you're not trying to keep your good name. Which good name? You're in court. Everybody knows, the entire shul, the entire internet, and the entire Yachne Park, everybody knows that you have a bad name. You've already been officially taken to court. So if he bought the apartment after that, we assume that then he bought it for himself. He bought it for himself. He still buys. Some people don't lose their calm ever. And then we don't say it's for Levi because he wants to look nice and be nice. He lost the chance of looking nice and looking good. There was already Amud Bedin. It's called in Hebrew, 2 words in Hebrew, too late. Now come two other opinions on the same venue, but they lengthen the term. Chia Barav argues, Oman says, until the adrachta comes to the hands of who? Of Reuven, which means what's adrachta? We saw it at the end of Bava. Adrachta is the shtar that tells you that if somebody owes you money and he didn't pay money, that's a classical case. That's a case, yeah. Then we say that the adrachta is a shtar, official shtar of Beis Din. If he refused and he's playing games and he doesn't come to Beis Din, or comes and he plays games back and forth, after 90, after 90 days, they write in adrachta. Adrachta is a shtar to be madrich, to take him and allow him to take any kind of land that he wants, whichever land he's interested in the fields of the borrower, he can take. So basically, Chia Barab says, although there was a court case, Shimon still wants to keep his good name until the stage of adrachta, until there is a stage of the litigant, the one claiming against him, mamish going to his fields and taking whichever field he wants. Up until then, he's still considered as somebody who's in the middle of the court case. We all know court cases, chas v'shalom, can take 10 years, right? If it's still in the middle of the court case and not completely finished because adrachta wasn't yet given, he still wants to keep his good name. Rav Papa Omar, third opinion, Rav Papa says till later, until they start lo lane with the do not sala poal. Yeah, what happens if the one owed money found a very nice apartment and said, okay, instead of $1 million, the apartment worth $1 million will be mine. However, I don't want to live there. That apartment is in Metzia. I don't have education for my children in Metzia. So what do Beis Din do? They make a 30 days, it's called in Hebrew michraz. Lachiz is to announce. Basically, it's 30 days of them saying who wants to buy it, like an auction. Who wants to buy it for more money? And that money they give the guy. That's a later stage. According to Rav Papa, what? It's like it's all about today. I'm talking based on public auction. Yeah. No, it is based on, we do it in the times of the Gemara. I meant it. Yeah. Like today, that's all Paul, but in the real world, in an ideal world, Beis Din does it. It's Beis Din running. Yeah, I meant what I said. For change. Yeah, so Beis Din, they are the ones who do the achrasta up until the very, very last stage of achrasta, when the mamish put his misken, Shimon, his assets on a big sale, which everybody really knows, and it's the very last stage. Up until then, we say if he bought the apartment from Reuven, we still interpret it as him trying to buy the apartment for who? For Levi, and Levi should keep it. Oh, before maskif LaRami Bar Chama. Here we have an atkafta. What's an atkafta? An attack. Rami Bar Chama attacks the entire concept of Rav. And for that, let's make a small timeline. Yeah, I didn't write it on the whiteboard today, but I think you can follow it without the whiteboard. Let's have a timeline of what's going over here. and we'll repeat the question of some people here. I remember Ellen asked it, and I think some other people too. Let's see what the story is. Let's just revise the story chronologically speaking. On Tishrei, yeah, the guy flew to New Zealand, Reuven, and Shimon, in the middle of a Sarsi Mitzvah, how could you believe that? He decides, I'm a poor guy, I need some money. Therefore, he changed a lot, he stole the apartment. He sat there. Okay, very nice. Cheshvan, he sold it to Levi, and he told Levi, I have a great deal for you. And they signed a shtar, a real kosher shtar. And Shimon got two friends, they have big white beards and big black kippot, and they look very religious, although they're also swindlers, probably. Yeah, maybe he's cheating them too. It happens every once in a while. And what happens then? And then on Cheshvan, what did he do? He sold the fake apartment not owned by him with a very nice looking shtar to who? To Levi. Levi is the happy new owner, or so he thinks. Yeah. Now he wrote him a chrayas, which is very nice. He wrote him a chrayas that if anything happens, it's on me. Yeah. And Shimon is hoping beyond hope that Reuven will stay in New Zealand the entire life. Yeah. And he'll be, playing with the Kiwis his entire life. Very nice. Then what? Then what happens in Kislev? In Kislev, all of a sudden the shlichus doesn't work right, and therefore in Kislev he's coming back. Oh, he quickly buys the apartment from who in Kislev and Hanukkah with the beautiful flickering holy lights of Hanukkah. Yeah. Then what happens? Yeah, he's coming back home from New Zealand, so touched and moved, and also in New Zealand it's the other side, winter, summer, summer, winter. He's coming home, and quickly as he's in the airport. Reuven is in the airport, and quickly, what does he do? Shimon in the airport signs a shtar, I'm buying your apartment, quickly, right? Before he comes home and sees that Levi sits there, he wants to settle things down nicely. So now the apartment, where are you going to go? Go to a 5-star hotel, just give you $1 million shekel. Okay, so then Lemaisa, that's basically the story. So what do we say? Who's the owner of the apartment now? Who? Levi. Why? Because the reason why Shimon bought it was in order to hold it, to keep it, to sustain it in the hands of Levi, so Reuven shouldn't scream at him and nobody should call him a gazlan. There are many, many questions that arise. I prefer no questions right now unless it's very technical. Yeah. Now, the question people asked yesterday, last week, is going to be the question of the Gemara. Maskif la'ami b'chomo. Rami b'chomo takes, Michdi, at the end of the day, I lokech, that buyer, our friend Levi, how did he buy that land? In the shtar. In Cheshvan, there was the so-called sale with the shtar. Now, Tosfos points out the Gemara must be talking in a place where they don't buy with money. There are places, I don't mean today people don't buy with cash. In some places, they don't buy lands for money. They buy it with a shtar. Of course, they have to pay the money as a payment, for the value. But the actual transaction that finalizes the transaction is not through a symbolic amount of money, through shtar. So he bought it with a shtar. That's a normal way. Somebody wants to buy with a shtar with an affidavit in his hands. I shtara, that shtar chaspa ba'alnu. I think you asked me also. That shtar is nothing. Is a piece of, I shouldn't say piece of garbage. It's not nice. It's a piece of clay. It's a piece of clay. That shtar, that Shimon actually sold it to Levi, is nothing. Is a piece of clay. So now Shimon bought it off Reuven in order to hold it, keep it, sustain it in the hands of Levi. What kind of nonsense is that? How is Levi the owner? How is Levi the owner? It's true that Shimon wants it to be in Levi's hands, but at the end of the day, Levi never had a legal purchase on the place, right? That was your question. You asked the Gemara's question. I hope you danced the entire Shabbos, yeah? So basically, what really makes Levi the owner? There was no legal sale. And the Gemara doesn't say that there's a new sale. No, there isn't. That's all argument between Shimon and Levi. If there was a new sale in Odor, in Purim, that the Gemara, we can close the Gemara and go home. That wasn't the case. That's all argument, right? So how can Levi say, I'm the owner? Shimon wanted the apartment to be his. My American friends taught me a nice expression, yeah? I want to be the owner or the seller of Brooklyn Bridge. You always said the Brooklyn Bridge, right? You can want to own the Brooklyn Bridge, that's nice. But you can even write the shtar. What makes him the owner? Omale Rove, says Rove, and here I'm following the Ran's explanation. Omale Rove, Tehe b'ma'aminoi. It's a kinyan called Tehe b'ma'aminoi, which means the kinyan works through emuna, through showing trust, meaning bahu hano. You know what's worth money? Don't laugh. The Gemara acknowledges that good feeling is worth money. Yeah, the guy goes to place a shrink, talks for half an hour. The shrink doesn't say anything. Yeah, for 45 minutes. The guy pays him 500 shekels just, thank you for listening to me, making me feel good. Yeah, people want to have a feel good thing, right? Go to a show. What did you get? Something in your hands? No. You hear a singer singing. It's a feel good thing. I feel nicer. I feel 100. I pay 100 shekels. I don't. Yeah. Bahia, no. For that, how do you say? No, not enjoyment or benefit. No, for that emotional profit. The loy ka'omer le'midi. Levi did not say anything to Shimon, although he may have suspected it could have been stolen, right? Do you know Shimon? Do you know it's not a swindler? No. Because Samich Alei, yeah, he relied on him. Levi relied on Shimon, the Torah Humaisilei, Gomar, the Torah Humaisilei, that he would do the achrayas, meaning he would act upon his achrayas, which he did. He said to Shimon, listen, Shimon, if this apartment is stolen, I trust you to quickly buy it off the other guy. In other words, since he gave him very, very full, comprehensive achrayas, relying on Shimon to do the job of making sure the sale is a good sale, whatever may happen, Gomaru Maknile. In that Hano, Shimon, with that enjoyment, with that Hano, gave the field over to Levi. You may ask, excuse me, so where's the star? Says the Ran, it's kesef, it's worth money. If somebody does a sale with you and the guy tells you, I trust you 100%, you're a swindler and I trust you 100%. In other words, he says, whatever may happen, I trust you to do the running around. I trust you that if anything happens, you'll be my angel, my knight in the shining armor. That Hano of giving him trust to Shimon is actually worth money. It's unbelievable. It's as if money exchanged hands and he gave it to him. The Gemara says in Kiddushin, how are you Mekadosh a lady? Everyone's going to say, you put the ring on her finger. That's one option. There are many, many more creative ways to Mekadosh a woman. Let's say the guy's a professional artist, and she tells him, she says to him, dance in front of me. She's Mekudeshes. The guy's a good dancer. Yeah, she says, I want you to dance in front of me. And he tells her, and what did she do? Nothing. What did he give her? Nothing physical. Yeah, but enjoyment is called money. It's as if money was transferred in halacha. Mimela, the fact that he got this trust is considered to be like money, and therefore in Cheshvan there was real sale. Elamai, sale lemaisa is not yet kicking in. That's another problem now. Comes another problem which we're addressing soon. But sale, there was a sale. There was money given. Ki'ilu money by the show of trust is like something worth money. The next question, of course, is the next question, which I think people also ask. You asked about the Rosh Baloilom, Yaakov. I'm not sure it's in the same context, but you okay, or do you want to? Yeah. Now I want to ask you a question. Reuven, what did he do? He flew to New Zealand and Tishrei. It was stolen. Cheshvan, there was a sale, right? So Cheshvan, there was a sale. Why was there a sale of Cheshvan? Because it was real Hano. We're done. We're over that hurdle. There was a real kinyan. When would the kinyan kick in? Between Shimon and Levi. When will it kick in? In Kislev. When he comes to Natbag in Kislev, Reuven, Shimon will quickly run through security and make sure that he quickly sells him the place. And then it's considered to be Shimon. Once it belongs to Shimon, Mimela, the original kinyan a month ago is now kicking in. I want to ask you a question. We learned in the past and we'll learn in the future, and you mentioned it very nicely, Yaakov. Dovel shelo bal oilom. I can now sell something which is not yet mine. Yeah, let's say I'm planning a very serious plans on buying what? On buying, I think I have a very nice baseball cap. So white with a pole, very, very nice. It's very alluring to me, that white baseball cap. I'll come to Kuala with it every day. No, it will be very in style. So let's say I'm planning on buying from my dear neighbor, Mr. Brown, to knock on his door, walk 2 floors up, and buy the cap from you. Now, you like that cap too, Ellen. Don't tell me no, even though it's American. I'm selling you now Mr. Brown's cap. Yeah, now I'm selling you. Give me money. It's very becoming. It is very proper. And I'm selling you now Mr. Brown's cap, which I'm planning on buying next week. Does that work? Not l'kol alma. It's not yet mine. How can I sell you something which is not yet belonging to me? That's called in English castles in the air. And it's called in Lashon HaKodesh, Dovel Shelo Bala Oilam. It's in the Oilam, it's in the world, it's very much right, very shining and bright, but it's not in my hands to sell it. And therefore, the main problem is you don't have smichus das. Ellen knows me by now. Elin says, how can I trust Akiva on something that's not yet his, right? How can I sell you something which is not yet mine? First, I should buy it from Mr. Brown and then sell it to you, right? Good. And that's Gemara's question. Even though there was a sort of real kinyan, and Shimon is not such a swindler anymore, but Lamaisa, at the time in Cheshvan, it wasn't yet his field. So how can he sell to Levi a field that is not yet his, right? Let's see how the Gemara asks it much better than me. Meisiv Rav Sheshes. Rav Sheshes is now asking a question from the following Braisa. Mas she'irash me'aba, whatever I will inherit from my father, the guy doesn't have much money, but his father is loaded, and his father has assets. Whatever I will, yoresh, whatever I will inherit from my father, machur lecha, I'm selling you now. Give me money now, I'm selling you now, and I want the sale to already apply from right now. Ma shetale mitzudosi, I'm a fisherman. Whatever my net will bring up today from the kineres, machur lecha, I'm selling you now before I caught any fish. Whichever fish I will catch, I'm going to sell you now. And the kinyan should apply now, and nobody can regret now at all. It's a real kinyan. Loy omer klum. Didn't say anything. Halachically, it's considered as zero, zilch, nada. Not considered anything. Why? It's not yet in your hands, right? Who says your father will die? Of course he's going to die one day. But who said you'll inherit? Maybe he'll sell it to other people, right? Maybe he'll only bequeath it to your brother, not to you. However, continues the Brisa, min abba hayom, whatever I will inherit from my father today. Let's say that father is in a nice place called hospital or hospice, and he's connected to 15 tubes, and he's about very, very likely, the nurses and the doctors all say that he has a few hours to live. Nobody's a prophet. Maybe there'll be a miracle. It's very likely. He's a goises. He's dying. Goises is called in Hebrew. And the son tells a friend, whatever I'll inherit from my father today, I'm selling you now, yeah? Or machor lecho, I'm selling you. Mashetale mitzudosi hayom, whatever my fish net, whatever my fishing rod, hook, line, and sinker, whatever I will bring from the Kinneret today, not on a regular basis. I'm not doing big agreements over here for the entire future. Whatever my net will bring up today and today only, machor lecho, that I'm selling you, meaning we're talking about more immediate future. Zov kayomin. Then we say, yes, that's a sale. If you're selling something to someone that is in the immediate future, even though we don't know what's going to happen, I don't know if the father will die today, and I don't know, maybe a minute before his death, he's going to say, oh, my money is going to the RCSCCPA, whatever, the animal haven. Yeah, I don't know. But Lamaisi, if it's for today, it's different. Please put that on the side. The word of whatever will happen today, I'm selling you, is a different story. Then it does apply. We'll see why later. In any event, the question is clear. The Gemara doesn't speak out the question, but I told you what the question is. Just like you cannot sell you whatever my father will bequeath me, so too, how can I sell something that I will buy? At the moment, I'm a swindler. I will buy and I'll do tshuva, but at the moment, it's not yet mine. So how does the kinyan apply? So that's a question that was asked by Rav Sheshes. Remember the name of Rav Sheshes. Rami Bar Chama made a comment, and he said, "Ho Gavra, v'ho Tiyuvta, what a man, and what a question." Shh. Rav Sheshes is the man. Rav Sheshes is such a choshvat Talmud Chacham, and he has a terrific question. And I don't have the answer. Omar Rove says Rove, Rove is less excited. Gavra kachazina, I see a very great man here. But Tiyuvta lo kachazina, I don't see the great question. He's a great man, but I don't see the question being so great. In other words, I can easily see the difference. I can easily make a difference, differentiate between our case of the swindler selling something that's not his to the person inheriting. Why? Over here, the buyer, why is it that Ellen is a bit skeptic about me selling him the white hat and would not give right now the money? And even if he did, it's not called a real kinyan, because who said I'll buy the hat of Mr. Brown? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe I'll be too busy. Maybe you won't sell it to me. Therefore, there's no smichus das. There's no real, how do you say smichus das? No real trust, no real belief. What? Reliance, thank you. No real reliance it's going to happen. Continues the Gemara. But the swindler, the guy actually relies on him to buy the apartment from Reuven. But the guy is going to inherit it. Lo samcha daite. Why? Let's see why. Over here, when Levi bought it from Shimon in Cheshvan, and Shimon said, yes, I will make sure that it will be always yours, then he Levi believes Shimon, the Ozil Torah Umaisilei. He believes he's going to go through a lot of trouble, tircha, to bring him the apartment legally. He'll make sure to legalize it. Why? So therefore, because he has a weapon in his hands, so Levi has a weapon. So Levi should not call him a thief. Levi should not call him a thief. Nobody wants to be called a thief. Again, we're not talking here about an old-time swindler that has 15 files in the police against him. We're talking about a regular real estate guy who slipped once. We mentioned that already. Okay? Maybe I shouldn't call him Shimon the Schwindler. Shimon the Smiley. Okay, whatever. Lemaisa, that guy wants to maintain his good name, and therefore I am sure as a customer, he'll probably go above and beyond to buy it, and he can buy it. He can buy it from Reuven. Over here, with a guy whose father is about to die or not about to die, his father could be 50 years old and very healthy, by the way. Lo samchadaite, he's not samchadaite. How do you know? How do you know that the father will die and bequeath everything to you? Maybe Enochinami, the father will sell it before. Maybe the father will give it to somebody else. Maybe the father will give it to his wife. I don't know what he'll do with it. Million other options. Therefore, the options are so small or so narrow that the recipient of the Yerusha does not actually, the recipient of the Yerusha is not relied by others to sell it to them before he actually inherited it. The same question was sent to Rabbi Abba Bar Zavda, the same question of Rav Sheshes. Omar Lehu, they said about Rav Sheshes, again, what's Rav Sheshes' question? Rav Sheshes asked, why do we say over here, why did we say over here that you can actually sell the apartment that is not yours? What did we say? Because it relies on him. However, the question of Sheshes was, you see, when it comes to inheriting money or fishing fish in the sea, which is very a matter of pure luck, yeah, that those kind of things people don't rely. But Rav Sheshes saw that as a question. They sent the question to Rabbi Abba Bar Zavda, Omer Lehu, Zu einat tzricha lifnim. That question should not be brought into the yeshiva. This question should not be presented inside the yeshiva study hall. Why not? Says Rashi, either it's not a question at all. I don't see the question whatsoever. It's too low level to be brought to the yeshiva, or maybe it's such a great question that the Talmid Chachomim won't be able to deal with it. There are two explanations. However, Omar Rove sticks to his gun and says, Zu tzricha lifnim v'lifnai lifnim. That question deserves to be brought inside and even to the inside of the inside. It's a very good question, but there is an answer. Same answer as he himself said before. When a person has a very strong interest to keep his good name, to maintain the good name, because he never was in court yet. He doesn't have the name of a swindler written all over his forehead. And therefore, he wants to maintain the good name. He'll go above and beyond in tircha and stories to maintain and have it in his hands. Therefore, a kinyan may work even though it's not yet his. Wow. However, in other stories, when we don't have that factor, you talk about Yerusha, you talk about fishing the fish in the sea, about hunting the deer. Those stories are more castles in the air. How do you know you're going to get? You're not up to. It's up to your father. It's up to Kodesh Baruch Hu if fish will come to the sea. How many? Therefore, in those cases, we don't rely on you. Therefore, it's not a kinyan prior to the actual purchase. Yeah, if you didn't yet purchase it, if you didn't yet inherit it, you cannot sell it. 1 minute, please. There was actually a story like that in Pumbedisa. Real life story in Pumbedisa happened with the same story. Swindler, and he sold it to Levi, and he sold it before it was his. The Oisve, and they asked the question of Rav Sheshes, how can you say that the field belongs to Levi when Shimon sold it to him? It wasn't yet belonging to Shimon. And Abaye, who's Rava's friend, he said, Tzricha lifnim v'lifnai lifnim. That question has to be addressed to the people of the yeshiva, to the innermost rooms of the yeshiva. Everybody in yeshiva should deal with it. And that's the answer, as Rava said twice, and Abai says once. I'm not joking now. Abai and Rava many times do agree with each other. We used to Abai and Rava disagree, many times actually do agree, if you follow them closely. This is the case where Abai and Rava agree. That what? As we said before, in the case of the guy inheriting from his father, there are lots of surprises. As Rabbi Peretz, happy birthday, taught me the English expression, between cup and lip, there's many a slip. That's exactly what we're saying here. Mashenken, when it comes to buying the house, that you're a real estate guy, you're a young, budding real estate guy, you did something stupid, you quickly want to cover for yourself. So then the customer believes you'll do everything possible within your reach, within your possibility to quickly get it from Reuven, legalize it in order to have a good name, and therefore he does trust you. Not that he knows you're a swindler, even alatzad you're a swindler. He knows the kids are, a company wants to keep its good name. Let's get swindler out of our system. Not a nice name. Maybe it's like the other bad word. In other words, it's a guy who's a real, normal, run-of-the-mill real estate guy. The company wants to keep its good name. Why do you think all the people are so nice to you in America? Customers are always right. Not because they love you, because they love themselves. They want to have a good name for the company and good service. That's why Marks and Spencer are whatever. Yeah, they're competing against Waitrose, whatever. Yeah. So they want to have a good name. So they're being very nice to the customer. That's all. That's what's going on over here. Emil will do everything with his inability to buy from Reuben and make it legal. Therefore, Levi, the buyer, does rely on Shimon, and therefore it's a real sale, even though it's not yet in the pocket of Shimon at the time of the sale. Baruch Hashem. And the question is now coming from the Peanut, Atoira. It's my mistake. I'm Choser B'tshuva now. Now I'm Choser B'tshuva for the month of Elul. We have to change the case. Very nice. We have to change the case. The example of buying for $1 million and selling for $1 million and buying for $4 million is not true. It's just my example. And then Echnami, now I realize the example was wrong. Sometimes I choose the wrong examples, and because I'm only human, I'm crying with big tears. Anyway, no, subhuman. The kids are Enechnami. We must say that Shimon is a regular guy who wants to make money, legal way. It's being recorded. Thank you. And Enechnami, he sold it for $1.2 million and bought it from Reuven too late. He just switched the order of things. Yeah, put the buggy before the horses, and he bought it for $1 million. He made two Enechnami. He made some profit. And he wants to make profit the regular way. Why did he do it that way? He slipped, but the other assumption, what? No, he bought it for $1 million and sold it for $1 million too. Just the wrong way around. Who's going to sell it to Shimon? No, we're talking that he sold. We're talking that he did. We're talking in the case that he did. If Reuven doesn't sell it to Shimon and Shimon has a chrais to Levi, then Shimon will have to pocket it himself and then really lose, like everybody who sells with a chrais. And we spoke about a case. The case here is Reuven did sell, and you're right. If Reuven wouldn't have sold, then Shimon will with his pants down. Shimon will Enechanami have to compensate Levi because there was a chrais on the chrais does exist. Weiter. Frag the Gemara. Thank you. Beautiful question. Frag the Heilige Gemara. Yeah. Second to last line. What's the difference between the Reish and the Seifa? Meaning, if you remember, when we quoted this brisa, we imported the brisa Badovar Shlo B'lo Ilom. If I sell you anything and everything, my 50 years old father is going to I'm going to inherit from him. That's nothing. There's no smichus das. But if I told you whatever my father will give me today, bequeath me today, then it is a good sale. If I speak about the more nebulous future, anything that I always pick up with my net, they'll fish when my net is yours, doesn't work. Not a kinyan. Lo b'lo ilom. If I say whatever I pick up with whatever I fish with my fishing rod today, today's Sunday, is yours, then it does work. What's the difference? Why? It's also lo b'lo ilom. Now it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Do you know what's going to happen the entire 12, the future 12 hours? Why is that b'lo ilom? Omar b'yochanan, Seifa, ma shiur me'aba hayoim. The reason why anything I'll inherit from my father today, meaning that his mom is dying, does work, mishum kvoid oviv, because we want to give honor to his father. What does that mean? A person usually tells you that stuff I'm inheriting from my father, I'll sell you today, is probably bothered by his father not having the kever. Kever costs a lot of money in this country sometimes, or tachrichim, or the Chevra Kadisha. The Rashi talks about tachrichim, the shrouds, is something expensive because we don't want the mace to lie in the morgue, in the freezer, and the children don't know what to do. And for hours and hours, they have to find. That's science fiction. I don't know whoever come up with such a funny story. The Gemara, the children sit there, the two sons sit by the father's body's in the freezer, and they have to make endless phone calls to all the Chevres Kadishas in Yerushalayim, and nobody, and they have to spend a lot of money to bury the father. At the end, they buried him in Har Zeisim. Nothing to do with me. In any event, so that's the situation. So then the son wants to sell whatever his father is going to bequeath him. Why? To save his father's honor. Then Chachomim stepped in and they said, we are doing Hefker based in Hefker. We are doing over here, we do allow that sale to take place. And we don't allow the guy who's the buyer to say, no, this is lo bal olam, and I was never serious about it. If you were, yeah, in other words, the mechira is a real mechira, and the million shekel that they got at the day, that's not part of my story, by the way, the million shekel they got from who? From the buyer is a real mechira, is a real sale for the assets of for the upcoming assets for the covet of the father. The same thing is in the second case. Mashit understood or not? Yeah, in other words, otherwise, the buyer can say, I was never serious. If I want to sell your hat to you, Ellen, and you say yes, 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 you can come to me tomorrow, Ellen, and say Mapitom. I wasn't serious, says Ellen. It was Dover Shlobolim, it's not a sale. Nothing, right? But if it's somebody who's selling his father's assets at the day of the Ptira, then the buyer can never say, I wasn't serious. Chazal say, you were serious. We make the Mechir happen, Hefker based in Hefker. All monetary issues are always up to Chazal to decide. Now, Mashital Mitsudosia Yoim. Let's say the person sells you what he needs. Listen to the case. The fisherman comes to you in Tveria, walking down the street in Tveria, down the promenade there, the boardwalk, and the fisherman tells you, can I please, I need cash now. I need now cash of 500 shekels, and I'll give you whatever mine. I'm signing a contract with the lawyer right next to me for all the fish that I'll fish today. Okay, 300 shekels, yeah? So that's a real sale. Why? Lo bal olam, I didn't see the fish yet. And later on, he gives you the fish. Why can't you say it was just a joke? Why? Why is the guy standing in there in the morning like a miskin needing cash now? He's got to feed his kindalach. The guy doesn't have a nice white collar job to go to an office and get 20,000 at the end of the month. Says the Gemara, Mishum Kdei Chayov. Because the guy needs to live, needs to eat. We understand that the person in such a situation usually is in dire straits. He needs to really get food for the kids, food for himself. Mimela, we allow such a kinyan to happen, and we give it chashivas, we actualize the kinyan, even though it would otherwise be dovash lo b'loylam. Amar Bona Amarav. We're starting today's Amud, Mazel Tov, Amud Beis. Amar Bona Amarav. Amar lechaveroi. One who tells his friends, Sodesh ani lokeach, a field that I will buy, lik she'ekocheno, a field that I'm intending on buying in future, very much like our case. That should be your field already from now. Now, it's not so simple that the kinyan will start now retroactively or will start in the future. That's a discussion I'm not entering now. Kono, Bekitzer, Begadol, what Rav says over here is not only by the time of death, not only by the time of the morning when he's pressed for food. He's being general. I will buy a field in the future, and I'm selling you now the Brooklyn Bridge. I will buy the Brooklyn Bridge from the new mayor of New York. And I'm telling you, I'm already selling it to you. Now, it's a real kinyan. Okay, maybe not the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm going to buy a certain house in Nachal Ayalon. Now, I'm selling it to you. It's a real kinyan, and nobody can retract from the kinyan. Nobody can revoke. That meaning, Dovo Shlo Baloilom doesn't face Rav. He works according to Rav. And that's going to be the Maskana also. Omar Rove says Rove, oh, wait a minute. Rove follows his own opinion, his own logic from before. Mistaber Mil said Rav, I can agree with Rav. I think Rav's words make sense only in a specific case, Besode Stam. Yeah, when he says, I'll buy you not the one in Nachal Ayalon, I will buy some kind of land somewhere, somewhat, sometime. And that land, whichever one I'll buy one land where? I don't know where. I'll buy an apartment. Maybe in Modi'in Elite, maybe in Acapulco. I'll buy a land somewhere. And that land, wherever, anywhere, will be yours. One, but whichever one, I don't know. Any land will be yours. That is what he tells him. Then Rav's word makes sense that the kinyan already applies from the beginning from now. Soon we'll see why. Aval besode zu, if I say, a guy, let's say in a funny movie, a guy walks by a nice house and he says, when I will buy this house, this particular house, where people are living in, this big and nice house, when I buy this, it will be yours and give me money now. And I want the kinyan to apply now. Loy, that doesn't apply at all. Why? Who says the owner will sell you? Which means, when you say, I will buy an apartment, people buy apartments all the time. It's very hard in this country, but people do. When you say the next apartment, whichever next apartment I'll buy, in Modi'in Elite or in Johannesburg, whichever way I buy, will be yours. That's not such science fiction. You'll buy apartments. People buy. It's not such a crazy zach. Then the kinyan Rav is right, and then Rav, who is by the way pro selling dover shlo b'lo olam, then a kinyan. But to say this particular apartment, mapitom, no. Who says you'll ever buy it? Therefore, there's no smichus das. Smichus das is the word trust, reliance. There's no reliance on the side of the potential buyer because he doesn't really think you'll be able to buy this particular house with a red roof and the green fence who people are living in right now. Who said they'll ever sell it to you? Who said the sale will take place? How do you know? You're a prophet? Zog the Gemara, Rava, you may agree or disagree with Rav, but Elokim says the Gemara against what Rava is saying. I swear by Hashem, Elokim. I swear by God. Amar Rav afilu b'sod zu. In other words, you may disagree with Rav halfway, but Rav himself, unbelievable, says even if the guy says I will buy this particular field, and both sides sign the contract, when Mr. Shimon will buy the field, he will be automatically belonging to the buyer of now when he'll buy it next year. Rav says it's a good kinyan. Rav says Dover Shel Balalam does work. How do we know that Rav said that? Where did Rav say it? Says the Gemara, bring me a proof. Nichti, at the end of the day, Rav, Keman Omer L'Shmaiti, Kal B'Meir. Rav is in a Moira. When Rav says such a chiddush thing, he has to rely on a Tana. Who is the Tana that says the Dover Shel Balalam works? It's Rabbi Meir. We've seen it with Rabbi Basra. Rabbi Meir holds that you can sell things you buy in the future. If you didn't buy them, nothing happened. But if you buy it in 2 years' time, you will buy the bridge and a chenami retroactively or from now on. It belongs to the buyer. Doma says Rabbi Meir, Odom makne dover shelo b'lo olam. Rabbi Meir holds a person may sell now that future dividends, future gains, future sales. If it doesn't happen, okay, give back the money, but or don't give the money at all. But if it does take place, the future purchase, then retroactively, yes, the buyer who bought it before it was purchased is a real buyer. The Tanya, and soon we're going to see that it applies also to a particular house. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa. That's a Brisa. That's in Dushin. It says, "Omer leisha." A man tells a woman, "He's kachli lachashes gayer." Hey, Tim, where was Tim? You didn't meet him yet. Tim McKenzie, as you know, many times was Megayer. He died. He lived again. Tim McKenzie is our at-home guy. He's a good friend. Yeah. So now Tim McKenzie is again trying to be misguyer, and he likes a certain Jewish girl. He was offered her in a shidduch. So he goes out in a shidduch, and he says to her, "You're Mekadesh to me now from an Megayer. When I'll finish my conversion process, he'll be my wife." Okay. So then, does it work? Everyone's going to say no. Rameir says yes. He gives her a nice ring, yeah, very nice ring, no cross on it. And what? And he says, on delay, and the Kiddushin will apply once I'm a Gayer, which is going to happen in 2 years' time. I'll finish my Geras process. A man, lo aleinu chas v'shalom, goes out with the shiksa, and what does he do? Once you convert, you're my wife. Aret mukudeshesli, and it will kick in, it will start actually when you finish your conversion process. L'shem shamayim, not for me. The guy is a slave. And he tells the woman, once I become a free man and am able to be Mekadesh a woman, a regular Jew, then you'll be my wife. Not then you'll be my wife like in a romantic story, then we'll marry. We are now Mekadesh you. I'm now Mekadesh you, putting the ring on your finger now to be on pause and apply once I become a free man. I hope that's clear. Here's an ass Shifcha wants to marry Shifcha. Kiddushin don't apply to Shifcha. Yeah, and also it's an Avera, B'chlal of Lo Kodesh. So he says, once you'll be free woman, the Kiddushin will, from now, boom, apply over there. Lachar Shomus Bailich, a sad story. The woman is married. You're married to me now once your husband dies. The Kiddushin already starts now once your husband dies. Yeah, sounds interesting. Lachar, don't make a movie out of this. Lachar Shatzlach Yachalatzlach Yavamich. The woman is Shomeres Yavam. Yeah, her husband died. She still has to go through Yibum or Chalitza. We hope for Chalitza. He likes her, and he says the Kiddushin are now to start and tikkun and apply once your Yavam Choylet, once she takes off his shoes and she fixes the thing in his face. Let's say he's married to Rachel, but he really wants to marry Leah. They're single. Once my wife Rachel dies, then I'll marry you, Leah, because now he can't marry sister-in-law. Doesn't like his wife. Yeah. Once my wife, who's your sister, is going to die, the Kiddushin will apply, and you'll be my wife. So the first opinion of Tanakama is the conservative opinion, is what everybody here thinks. Enem Kodeshes, you can't be Mekadesh, lo b'loilom. All these situations are not up to you. Maybe you'll be ger, not ger, maybe he'll die, maybe she'll die. It's castles in the air. Which normal woman has smichus das on all those fairy tales? L'chor, says Tanakama. However, Rabbi Meir strikes again. Rabbi Meir omer mekudeshes. Rabbi Meir says yes, yes, yes. Although there may not be strong smichus das, I'm not going into the svar of Rabbi Meir here. I don't remember. We dealt with it in Bava Basra. Rabbi Meir apparently doesn't care so much about smichus das. Even a slight smichus das is enough. Says Rabbi Meir, as long as there's any serious talk about the future, it does apply now. What does that prove regarding our point? Remember what Rava said about any field regarding, as opposed to this field? Says the Gemara, Isha, a woman, kisod zudamia, which means, what did Rava say about Rabbi Meir? He says, listen, Rabbi Meir. Listen, Rav, excuse me. Listen, Rav, who follows Rabbi Meir. I can accept what you say, that if I tell Yitzchok, the next house I'm buying will be yours, then next house I buy, maybe I'll buy a house, marry off children, I have to buy a dira, etc. Belong to Yitzchok. But if I say, this particular house, the new project in Ramah Hay 16, that particular apartment, when I buy this from Reuven, who lives there, when I buy this, it will be yours. Who says you're samech das? It's not up to me. Who says Reuven will ever sell it to me? The current owner. Yet, says the Gemara, very nice Rava, but wrong, because Rav, who follows Rabbi Meir, believes that even when things are out of the seller's control in the future, the kinyan still applies. We still really have to know what the reason is. Because listen to this. Can he kill his own wife? No. Can a lady kill her husband? Well, she can, but she won't, yeah? In other words, all these things are not up to them. Maybe a husband will live till 120. She hates the husband. She wants to go with the other man who's Mekadesh her when her husband dies. It's not up to anybody, the death of the husband. He may outlive everybody. They're all going to go crazy. Yeah? So Mimela, it's not up to them. And yet, the Omer B'Meir Mekudeshes. B'Meir, in spite of that, says the Kiddushin do apply. If it applies, that goes to show that Rabbi Meir and his follower Rav are very extreme in saying that any Dover Shlo B'Olam works, even if it's not in the hands, it's not within the ability of the seller to actually change things, the kinyan still applies. Yeah, I would like to do this more be'iyun on my own and come back to you with a better reason, but that's what Rabbi Meir says, and Rav follows him. By the way, how do we paskin? It's very interesting, because Lamaisa, when it comes to Dover Shlo B'Olam, we don't follow Rabbi Meir. We don't follow Rabbi Meir. We really follow who? We follow the mainstream opinion, Dover Shlo B'Olam, unless it's something very likely to come. That's another story, like fruit that's going to grow in the tree. Yeah, generally speaking, we say Dover Shlo B'Olam, you can't sell. That's what we hold over here. On the other hand, in our sugya of the seller, listen to me, of Shimon, the not so swindler, who sells to Levi, then we say the kinyan does apply. Why? Because of the reason we said, because Levi relies on Shimon to buy the apartment of Reuven to clear his good name. That's the one exception, exception to the rule. Omer Shmuel, quickly, let's just start the sugya of tomorrow. A person found a shtar choiv, a specific, super strong shtar choiv. What's the shtar choiv? It's a shtar choiv, it's an IOU that has shibud in it. But if you remember shtar kno, we learned it a few days ago, shtar kno means that even if the borrower, even if I don't really borrow, my land is mortgaged to you already. It's a loan shark, it's a bank. I don't know who does such a thing, but there is room for it in halacha. Shimon, I guess, is really stuck. Shimon is not a swindler, maybe lost all his money. Yeah? And now Shimon needs a loan from Reuven, okay? So Shimon says to Reuven, I'm writing to your shtar that I borrowed money, and even if I don't actually borrow it in future, it's like it's a pending thing, my nechosi, my lands are meshubed to you, or mortgaged to you. It's a one-side mortgage. Hopefully there will be a loan. Yeah, we had that. That's called shtar kno. So then there's no chashash that maybe the person never borrowed. Even if he didn't borrow, lemaisa, there is a debt. To be continued tomorrow. So tomorrow we start from Omer Shmuel, Be'ezras Hashem, the 2 dots. Remember, tomorrow Be'ezras Hashem should give us koyach. It's Zayin Amud Beis, 2 dots, Omer Shmuel. Okay, later. We're doing it nice and slow, relatively. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. I sell you my hat, you sell me yours. We'll do about it. Have a good day. Talk to.